In this video, I discuss the 3 types of Social Security scams that retirees face regularly, and I discuss the type of information that they try to get from you. Coming up next on Holy Schmidt.
Holy Schmidt!
Okay, let's discuss Social Security scams. Number 1, phone scams. According to the SSA, in 2020, retirees received 718,000 phone calls and lost a total of $46 million due to these scams. So it's a big deal. A typical phone scam works like this. A retiree receives a phone call from someone pretending to be from the SSA, saying that they're going to get their Social Security cut off if they don't act immediately. And usually that means sending money back because of an overpayment or some other reason. Scared and confused, the person who receives the phone call does exactly what they're told because they don't want their Social Security cut off and their source of paying their bills eliminated. In one variation of the scam, the recipient receives a phone call from someone pretending to be from a federal agency or the police, the FBI or the local police, saying that their Social Security number is linked to criminal activity. When they continue on, they ask for them to reconfirm their Social Security number, their bank account details, and other important data to make sure that they are not, in fact, the criminal. And for those that have the fortitude to say, wait a minute, you already have that information in front of you, why are you asking me to confirm it if you already know what it is? The caller almost always says something like, there's a glitch in the system and we can't access that information. We just need you to reconfirm it. And if you don't reconfirm it, we'll assume it's you who is the criminal and we'll suspend your Social Security payments immediately until this is resolved. A variation of this is instead of a fear of loss, they're creating the opportunity for gain. And that is that your Social Security payment has been less than it should have been for the last several years. We actually want to increase it, but we need you to verify a few details before we do. The last one is someone pretending to be from the government who has an investment opportunity for you that will actually reduce taxes on your Social Security. They throw out a term like the Inflation Reduction Act, which makes them sound official, and they need your information and several $1,000s in order to execute this plan on your behalf. The important thing to remember here is that if you receive a phone call like this, it's probably more than likely, almost certainly a scam because the SSA doesn't move quickly like that. Nothing is urgent today or tomorrow, frankly, with the SSA or government agencies. In all instances, and this goes for every single phone call that you get that you feel might be a scam, and frankly, even if you're not sure, ask for their telephone number and tell them you will call them back. Why? Because any legitimate organization calling you will have a phone number that you can call and discuss that phone call with them. It doesn't just apply to the SSA, by the way. It applies to your bank, your credit card company, your utility, anyone who calls you and asks for information. Do not give it to them. Ask for their telephone number and tell them you will call them back. You might even want to tell them that you get a lot of scam phone calls and you need to be sure. If they say that they'll call you back, it's a scam because you've just told them that you get a lot of scam phone calls and them calling you back won't change that. Tell them to give you the phone number and you'll call back or you'll have someone call back with you. If they don't give it to you and they continue to harass you, hang up on them. And if they call you back, hang up on them again. If they do give you a phone number, give it to a son, daughter, trusted friend, and have them call back on your behalf. Because more than likely at that point, you need a new set of ears on the situation. Next up are email scams. Email scams are supremely easy for a criminal organization to execute. They can just buy a list. You hear of all of these lists, all of this data that gets breached when someone goes in the back door of an organization and downloads a lot of key data. This is what they do with it. They'll send out an email. Often, in your case, for Social Security recipients, they send an email saying that they are the SSA and they need to verify a few details. It looks very official because it has their logo. Generally, they've gotten better with the language. It doesn't sound like where when you read it, it doesn't look like it's a broken English email anymore. And it comes to you verifying information. You just click a link and it takes you to a site of some sort. On the site, you're asked to verify personal information, social security, date of birth, driver's license number, bank account number, etc. All of that is the data that a criminal looks for in order to steal your money. At this point, most people who get this email know it's a scam, but if they get 5 out of 10,000 people to give them that data, it's worth the investment in that list. One quick way to check this is to look at the domain of the sender. If it's anything but irs.gov, ssa.gov, if it's something with a bunch of numbers or it looks kind of funny, then that email is a scam. But how do they increase the odds from 5 out of 10,000? People are so past that scam that it doesn't work anymore. Well, they use something called spearfishing. Right now, for about $20 a month, you can go online and you can download key data from someone. You can download their name, telephone number, date of birth. You can download their social media information, and you have all of that at your disposal, none of which, by the way, in and of itself, will allow them to break into the financial data that they need or the financial institutions that they need to steal the money, but they can use it to spearfish. So if I have someone's name and telephone number, I start making phone calls and saying, this is John Doe from the Social Security Administration. I'm going to send you an email. There is a problem we need you to resolve. And I hang up. By the way, if you actually answer the phone, they never actually start talking because they're not trained to do that. They're trained to leave a message. Once that message is left, within an hour, an email is sent out explaining in great detail what the issue is, and you think, wait a minute, I just got this phone call, now I have this email, something big is going on, I need to act now. Potentially it's Detective Schmidt from the Brattleboro Police Department, and they say that they noticed some online activity that looked unusual, and they need you to confirm a few things. You receive an email from gschmidt@bratpd.com, and you think, wait a minute, this must be legit. bratpd.com sounds like Brattleboro. When you receive the email, there's a series of information that is asked in the email, and they ask you to confirm or deny information. Were you in Brattleboro, New York yesterday? No. Did you buy a $100 phone card at AT&T? No. Is your phone number, and they read back the number that they just called you on, so it seems very legitimate. Yes. Is your birth date, and then they read to you your birth date that they got off of that service. The answer is yes. Confirm your social security number, and they put 10 X's for you to change to your social security number. Alternatively, they could ask you to confirm your Citibank debit card to see if it was the one that was used to purchase the AT&T phone card. Or, alternatively, your driver's license number. Maybe even all three. You get the point. It looks real because they have enough information, and you don't know that there's a service out there that offers this information for a modest fee. But what happens if you answer the phone? Well, they hang up and they move on, and they never send that email out. If the caller didn't provide a return phone number or your caller ID doesn't have the right phone number when you dial it back, it's probably a scam. Same thing with the email. Probably a scam if there's no way to contact the sender of the email. In the past, email scams were the easiest way to get someone because they were extremely cheap and effective for the amount of money spent to acquire that list. But today, there is one more. It's so insidious, and this is something you really need to pay attention to, and that's the text scam. The recipient receives a text from the Social Security Administration saying that there's a problem with their payment and they need to contact the SSA immediately by clicking the link. By the way, after 2020, there was a sharp increase in the number of scam texts people receive. In fact, the FTC has outlined that this could be the biggest game changer in the future, and people need to be very diligent about text scams. Now, many people say, I would never fall for a text scam because I see these when they come through for what they are, and every single time I just delete the text. One of the reasons that the text scam industry is so popular is the criminal element can scale this up infinitely. They just need more phone numbers. But the other is that think about what happens in a given day for you. Texts, on average, have about a 3-minute response time versus emails. So if you get a text, because you are looking at your phone all the time, they expect you to react almost instantly, and time is the one element that the criminal element doesn't have. But by their very nature, people get dozens of official texts per day. Think about this. In the last hour, I got a text from my internet service provider, my physician reminding me of an upcoming physical, and also from one of the 3 credit reporting bureaus reminding me to lock my credit report, something you should all do, by the way. Amazon.com asked me for some sort of review on a product that I purchased, and I got one from the Social Security Administration. Now, I forced that one, and I'll tell you about that next. I was working on this video, and I wanted to see if I went to the SSA website, if they in fact had 2-step verification. And if they did, how did they do it? Well, I got a text. That's how they did it. Now you say, Jeff, you initiated the contact with the SSA. Of course you're expecting to get a return text back. Yes, I was, but think about how many of these texts you get in a single day. Some of them actually aren't initiated by you, but they're still official. Some of them look spammy, like political organizations. Others look completely legitimate, like your doctor's office, like your internet service provider, or like the SSA. Most of them have one other thing in common as well: a tiny URL that doesn't represent the full address of the sender, because that takes up too many text spots in your text limit. And since we get all of these texts from all of these different official organizations, it's hard to keep track of the ones that are legitimate and the ones that aren't. Unlike an email where you can look at the domain name of the sender, you just have the phone number or a 5-digit number depending on the organization. They don't have a method of verifying the sender's address just by looking at it. In fact, oftentimes the sender will send from different numbers. If you get one from 64574, that's the SSA's legitimate text number, but they also say that you could get texts from other numbers outside of that number. But let's just say you got one from 60574. Would you really know the difference? Probably not for most people. The bottom line here is that you need to be supremely diligent when you get a text, because this is the easiest way to get scammed. And if you click on that tiny URL, then you're one step away from giving away information that you don't want to give away. I spent a lot of time in this video talking about text scams because, frankly, I think this is the quickest way for someone to gain access to your information. And for most people, it looks completely legitimate. So you need to pay supreme attention to this point. Also, if you think that this video can help someone else, if they can use this information, please click the share button below and send this to them. It's very easy. You click the share button and you pick what delivery method you want to use, whether it's an email or a text or something else. It's all right there for you. If you like this video, check out that video, 7 things that a retiree should never disclose. This is Jeff Schmidt. Thanks for watching.